Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Scorpio energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Scorpio energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy. We've all got free will in our more high vibrational nature of hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love. We might want to move forward in life a little differently than we have been moving forward, or we are doing it. But the bottom row can be our comfort zone. We all like to stay in our comfort zone. We'd all like things to work out the way we'd like them to work out, so we don't maybe have to move forward in life differently. And the bottom row can just represent some of those fears and insecurities. And then we have different people in our life that we can align with. We can have people in our life that they can have love for us and we can have love for them, but there's something kind of more that we're aligned with in our shadowy nature, which can just be being more about the world or the ego or the image or the status instead of being in a more deep, meaningful, authentic relationship. Stay in jobs and relationships that maybe we don't really love, but it's a job or something. So we're going to kind of talk about it from those different perspectives. Some people are battling within themselves because they might like to move forward in life differently. And there's always a thing too that we can move forward in things. We could have gotten out of one thing that was shadowy, but then when we're moving forward, that can be kind of still shadowy. And are we willing to stop moving forward in that direction and realize that's not is better than where we were at, but that's not the right path either, and that we need to take time to kind of self-reflect and again in our free will decide what direction we want to go in next. So a lot to talk about. So I think let's do the top row first. The reason for the top row's reading coming out is the fire sign card, which can be Aries and Leo and Sagittarius, which in high vibe is kind of about loving and believing in yourself, looking at life as an adventure to be lived, that I've went through these life experiences, I've learned all these different lessons, I came in contact with all these different people. They had their idea of what kind of motivated and inspired them, what their dreams were, what they think is just and fair, and all those things. And I'm going to take those lessons that I've learned to go to this next stage of life. And we could have been dealing with some people that in their fire sign energy, they maybe still are motivated and inspired to live their life a way that maybe we used to live our life, or think the way we used to think, or view life the way we used to view it. But, just like from age 15 to age 18 to 21 to 25, we're not the same person. We kind of learn lessons and we kind of get motivated and inspired to look at life a little differently, and high vibe energy to keep being independent of an old version of ourself in a way, to not like repeat an old pattern. And the bottom row can kind of represent how we can get kind of sucked in to repeating an old pattern, because again, it's our comfort zone. And we could know some people, they're still kind of motivated and inspired to repeat a certain pattern of a way of living life or viewing life, that we could feel like the truth sets us free when we kind of live life at a certain stage of life, and we kind of have learned the lessons we needed to learn there. We're ready to kind of move forward, to go to the next phase of life, face our fears. And I think high vibe people would offer love and encouragement to the people in their life to see if they want to move forward with them in that way. But those people in turn, have to be ready to step out of their comfort zone, quit repeating certain ways of living life or viewing life, or what they kind of viewed as being just and fair in friendships or relationships or something. And they might not be there yet, and they may never get there. So in the top row, we start out with the Scorpio death card. And then we have the sun card, which is Leo energy, which can kind of be that, I think for the first 30, 40 years of our life, in our fire sign energy, we're kind of aligned with, which is what the marriage card can be, kind of what we're aligned with within ourselves. We're kind of aligned with our more worldly egoic nature. It's all these things of the world that motivate and inspire us that we want to indulge in. And we're sure if we do that and make our life about that, we'll be happy. And some people kind of got out of their ego about some things. Death to the ego. Because in high vibe Leo energy, being illuminated to the truth, that there was a lot of things we could have indulged in and made our life about, but we might have realized either the people we were in relationship with were in it more for the ego or the image or wanting to be indulged. And love is supposed to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And we also could have been more caught up in the world and our ego and our fear or whatever. And some people did the shadow work and kind of saw how some things manipulated them. And they didn't want to have those things keep manipulating them, because high vibe energy's freeing yourself from things that manipulated you. So, death to the ego, to go to transform your life. The Scorpio death card's about death and transformation. I shed an old layer of myself, a way of viewing life, just like I quit being like more like a 15-year-old to be more like an 18-year-old. And I quit being more like an 18-year-old to become more like a 21-year-old, And they're going through a phase of life where they're detaching from an old way of living life and viewing life to go have this new and beginning. And part of it with Leo is also a fire sign energy, and the dice card includes Leo energy. It's just a process of a part of growing into your more authentic nature. And as we go through life and we learn these lessons, it's again to face our fears, to keep growing to our full potential, and hopefully getting more comfortable within ourselves, and hopefully learning the bottom row and shadow can be, again, these things that manipulate us, which can be just being in more codependent energy. And I view high vibe Leo as being loving and nurturing and supportive to yourself, and kind of offering love and encouragement and forgiveness to yourself, offering love and encouragement and forgiveness to the past so you can let it go. I don't want it to keep manipulating me. And I accept that everybody in the world has free will. Some of the people in my life did this work, and they're a loving and encouraging person in my life, or a good role model in my life. Other people in my life maybe didn't do some of that work to work through some of the issues that manipulate them. And maybe I didn't really care to be in a relationship with them, because maybe some of those people harnessed a more shadowy Scorpio energy, and they didn't want me to be more authentically myself if they're not more authentically themselves, or to love and believe in myself if they don't love and believe in themselves. So, people are either being loving and encouraging to us to keep growing and maturing ourselves to our full potential, or they could get in a relationship with us, but then they don't want us to keep loving and believing in ourselves, because they want it to kind of stay the way it is. And if they don't plan to get out of their ego, which can just be your defensive nature, or being more about yourself, or more caught up in the world, or addictions, or things you like to indulge in to make yourself feel better, whatever it is, they might not want to change any of those things. So then they can put work and effort while they're in a relationship with you to kind of try to stop you from loving and believing in yourself, so you stay kind of stuck and stagnant with them in a way. And then we have another Leo card, which is the key card, about seeing the truth, and the sun in Leo energy being illuminated to the truth. The opposite of the sun is the moon. The moon can look kind of like the sun, and it gives off light, but it's not really the sun. The sun is life-giving energy. So we can be in things that have the illusion of love, in a lot of ways kind of can be loving, but it can also be a kind of shadowy, where you feel like people are trying to confuse you about the truth. They give the impression they're maybe motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness, but that can be kind of an illusion they create to try to get people to move forward with them in workplaces, friendships, relationships, or marriages. And some people did move forward in those jobs, friendships, relationships, or marriages. But as time went by, with the ending card, which is kind of like the death card, it wasn't ever giving birth to anything new. And that's when people could realize that, we live in a world where people can wear false masks. They can put on a good show, hide their authentic nature. And we can like to think that everybody's motivated and inspired by change, but not everybody is. We can like to think everybody's motivated and inspired by love, but not everyone is. Some people decided a long time ago, I'm not doing love. I get hurt doing that. But if I were to tell people I don't believe in love, and I think that's just an illusion, people wouldn't get in a relationship with me. So I'll create the illusion I believe in love so that people will get in a relationship. But they could operate more from shadowy Leo energy within themselves, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, or it's just kind of an illusion they create. I'll create the illusion I'm more hopeful and believing and inspired by love, but really that's not my truth. And eventually, when people move forward with people like that, eventually they see the truth. Shadowy Scorpio is, I like to keep my more authentic, hopeful, believing nature buried beneath the surface, and I kind of let my more egoic nature run my life. And I might not really want to do deep, meaningful relationships because Scorpio talks about the fact that we're these emotionally complex human beings and we're confusing, right? I mean, we can have a lot of contradictory thoughts and feelings about people, and it's confusing. And some people just don't want to bother with it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to try to work through it. I would rather just keep that more emotionally complex nature buried beneath the surface, and I'll use my emotions and my sexuality and my money and my words and my charm kind of all more manipulatively to try to get what I want. That's operating from shadowy Leo energy within themselves. I don't want to be more authentic. I don't want to work through these things that manipulate me. I have an idea. I'll just create the illusion that that's not the truth of who I am. Get in relationships with people. The only problem is eventually other people kind of, them being more connected in with their emotions and their intuition can feel like people are just kind of more indulging in the relationship, like having sex versus being in a deep, meaningful relationship, you know? And it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's just more in it for the ego, the image, it looks good, but, you don't ever let your more authentic nature out to play in the world. And also, they don't work through those issues that enable them to move forward in life to give birth to anything new, because there's these things that they haven't worked through, and those things still keep manipulating them. So while some people are trying to give birth to something new, the other people are trying to stop people from giving birth to something new and just keep doing it the same way they've always been doing it. And that's when some people are like, I'm leaving this job, this friendship, this relationship. I see nothing is going to change here. I can be loving and encouraging to all sorts of people, but until they decide to do this work within themselves to get out of their ego, get out of their fear, get out of their defensiveness, get out of being more about themselves, more about the world, more about being immature or whatever, until they work through that, they're going to keep being the same person they are. And some people have already found out they don't like being in that relationship with them. And because they see something never changes, they decide to move on, to go have a new beginning. They were willing to deal with the truth. The truth sets them free. I can stay in denial of the truth that some people in my life are bossy and controlling and prideful and egotistical and intimidating and controlling and immature and egotistical and self-centered. I can keep staying in denial of the truth, and I can keep trying to get them to change, or I can accept the truth that only they can make that choice to change. I can still be a loving and encouraging person in people's life, but I'm moving on with my truth. And if you kind of keep acting in this way, I'm not going to keep hanging out with you. You have free will. You can choose to be that way or not be that way. But if you want to move forward with me, you have to be willing to illuminate the truth. You have to be willing to be more authentic and loving and encouraging and have some hope and faith and belief in yourself and in me and in love. And if that's not happening, I'm moving on. And, we can initially detach from some people, is what the Scorpio death card can talk about. But to work through the emotional confusion of it and really have put it to rest and kind of, the Leo card is also represented by the Five of Wands, the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands, to kind of work through our inner conflict that there was something that we had wanted to move forward victoriously and deal with kind of our defensiveness of accepting that it isn't going to work out and we're not the boss. Everybody else has free will. Their truth can be different than my truth, that we have to get out of our ego about it. So that's a death to the ego. Getting out of our ego about the fact that I can't make people heal or grow or love themselves. I can offer people truth and love and encouragement, and the rest is up to them. And then Scorpio energy also is represented by the Five, the Six, and the Seven of Cups. And that's kind of working through the fact that we're sad that a relationship didn't work out the way we wanted, kind of coming to a place of emotional balance about it in the Six of Cups. And in the Seven of Cups, working through the emotional confusion of it, and to have hope and faith and belief in our dreams and in ourself. And that's then when we really kind of emotionally, that's like the second release, kind of, where then we're ready to go have this new beginning. And that's, some people are somewhere in the mist. Some people are just getting into things and they don't realize that the people in their life, that they're really not on the same page, that they could be getting in a relationship with someone. This card down here says the stork, which of course shows two birds together, which birds can represent also air sign energy, that kind of maybe like we're on the same page. And look, I'm inspired to be in a family or a relationship or a workplace, but they could hide from people and not show people that they harness these energies kind of in a more shadowy way. What are they? The mature woman and the past life. Well, I view the mature woman as the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles I view as Taurus energy, which can have to do with our philosophy of life. And some people's philosophy of life is with the past life, that they have this way of viewing life and living life, and shadowy Taurus can be stubborn. I have this way of living life and viewing life, and this is how I think we should do it. Well, that's nice. If they were going to live life by themselves, they can live their life any way they want. But if they're going to work together with other people, it's not just their way or the highway. Other people have their own dreams, aspirations of their envisionment, and Aries energy can talk about how we imagined our future and how we expected our dreams to come into reality and what kind of drives and motivates us. And some people are like, no, I have an idea of how I expect it to go. And it can be where it is kind of more about them Aries energy is about the self. Some people could be dealing with an Aries, but don't get caught up in the zodiac sign, because we all harness all these traits and characteristics. It's just how do we harness them? And some people are a little bit more about themselves. They want to be in relationships that look good for their ego and image, maybe to look like they've changed, like they've moved on, that they're, different than the type of person they used to be. But they maybe have the same philosophy of life that they had in the last job, friendship, or relationship. But they're trying to create the illusion that that's not true. No, look at me. I've had a new beginning. Look at me. I went and got a new job. Look at me. I got a new friend. But with the disconnection card, that also kind of reminds me of Scorpio energy. Like, oh no, I've emotionally detached from that. And there could be people in my life, whether they're friends or family members, or other people they'd been in a relationship with, or other people they'd been married to. Oh no, I've moved on from that. But they seem to be defensive to moving forward. And that's when some of the new people that they get in relationship with of some sort, the other people are maybe trying to move something forward. Those people really did detach. I am high vibe energy as I've worked through some of my fears, my insecurities, other relationships that I've been in. I'm ready to go have this new beginning. I have emotionally detached. I am ready to have this new beginning. And the other people give the impression they have too. But they have a way of viewing life and living life, or people in their life, that they try to hide, that those things or that way of living life or viewing life kind of manipulates them and makes them defensive to moving forward and really having this new beginning. And for some people, it's always that some people, the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married through the deck. Some people create the illusion, oh yeah, you should move forward with me in a relationship. Eventually we'll have that new beginning or a more formal commitment. Or if you take this job, there's more potential for you here at this job. But then you take it and you kind of realize that that's not going to happen. And then you could find out kind of in the official person that the official person in their life, that looks like someone dressed up like, reminds me of a Nazi. So, people that are more, they align with their more shadowy energy of self. They are married to themselves. They have this way of viewing life, and they could have grown up, whether they're a male or a female. Anybody can grow up in family dynamics where either the male is maybe the person who it's more about them. Other people could grow up in relationships where it was more the female, where it was more about them, or they just decided in their own head it's more about them and it should be more about them. And, they try to get in relationships trying to hide this philosophy of life that they have, and they try to move forward in relationships. But then when it gets to be, it's like they can fake it for so long, but then they just can't fake who they really are. And then they can become kind of bossy and controlling and intimidating, and shadowy energy can be jealous and envious. And why are you more hopeful and believing in yourself or in love? I'm not. Why are you more authentic? I'm not. Why are you more free from things that manipulate you and I'm not? But instead of trying to learn from other people, how did you free yourself from things that manipulated you? Why are you more comfortable in your own skin? Why do you have more hope and faith and belief in love? Sometimes it's just that some people are just more about themselves. Could have been someone It doesn't matter. It could have been a brother, a sister, an adult child, a parent, people you work for, people who at one time you viewed as some type of nurturing, loving, supportive person in your life. And they could have been a nurturing and loving and supportive person, kind of to a degree, in your life. But when it got to be where you did work within yourself to kind of work through some of your fears and insecurities and defensiveness, and you were able to free yourself from some things that manipulated you, and you're kind of moving forward in life a little differently, that's when people's more shadowy nature can come out, because like you changed. And we used to be in this relationship, and maybe neither of us loved and believed in ourselves. Maybe we were both caught up and inspired by the world or ego or these things we used to indulge in, and now you seem to be moving forward differently. The death card, you changed. And then other people sometimes don't want to keep moving forward with us in a relationship because they either liked it when we were both in kind of shadowy energy, or they liked it when we were loving and encouraging while they were in shadowy energy, and they want us to keep doing it. Shadowy energy can be where people want you to keep indulging them. And it's kind of like, where are you going? And the marriage card, this has a feminine figure and a male figure. It can just represent that you kind of got balance between your more worldly, shadowy nature and your hopeful, believing, loving nature. And now you're kind of, the masculine energies can kind of represent um, how we're presenting ourselves in the world, action that we're taking. But part of high vibe energy is learning to stand up for your more authentic, emotionally intuitive, loving nature. And you're doing that now. And maybe before, part of this life experience was to get you to get more balance within yourself, for you to stand up for yourself. Because maybe before you were repeating an old pattern. And maybe you did kind of get in relationships with people who maybe that you're more codependent on, or where people could be more bossy or controlling or intimidating, or you just hadn't learned to love yourself, and other people were happy you hadn't. And then when you learn to love yourself and work through some of these issues, then they don't like it because they liked it the way it was. So you might have seen the truth of some people that maybe, we can want to stay in denial for a long time, and we can defend some situations in our life for a long time because we don't want to leave. And we keep hoping maybe other people will get out of their defensiveness, other people will heal, other people will get more balanced, other people will free them from things that manipulate them. But how long are we going to keep staying in something where nothing ever changes? I want my dreams to come into reality. I want to be in more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving relationships. How long am I going to keep defending something where maybe in the disconnection card, they're not working with me, they're not communicating with me, they're not taking action towards me? Eventually you got to figure that either shadowy energy, they're trying to manipulate you. Like, if you keep moving forward like that, I'm going to be defensive to you. I'm not. The wands can talk about communication, and Aries is fire sign wand energy. I'm not going to communicate with you if you keep moving forward like that. Well, you probably already spoke your truth in love. I would like to move forward with you in a just and fair and balanced way. Well, if they're not moving forward with you in that way, either you have to accept that that's not their truth, deal with the truth, or that they could be trying to manipulate you. Well, I want to move forward with you too, but not like that. I want to do it like this. And I think I'm going to let you go do what you want to do. And I don't think you'll keep loving and believing in yourself. And I think maybe you'll come on back. And some people are like, I don't want to be in relationships with people who are trying to manipulate me. If you want to be in a relationship with me, you have to be willing to illuminate the truth that you want to be in a relationship with me. And some people are like, well, I would get back in a relationship with you, but I don't want to illuminate the truth. And you can't illuminate the truth. Let's just go back and do the relationship the way we were. And let's not tell people why something didn't work out. I was like, no, there were some shadowy things that happened there that maybe caused me to walk away. And if you're not willing to illuminate the truth, then that is always going to be a shadowy thing that impacts the relationship. And either we're truthful and authentic or we're not. And some people are like, nope, I'm not willing to illuminate the truth. If you need the truth to be revealed, or for me to be more authentic, or me to quit being bossy or controlling, or more about myself, or more defensive, or more immature, it's over. It's like, okay, I see the truth and I'm moving on. And then some of those people are mad because, they could be used to intimidating and controlling people, getting, maybe even doing hurtful and unkind things to try to stop people from loving and believing in themselves. And it's like, well, sorry. Can I be sad that something I wanted to have come into reality didn't come into reality? Like a dream that I had, a wish that I had? Yeah. But my dream can only come into reality with other people who are inspired to be authentic and loving and inspired by love. And you're not. So I didn't give up on my dream. I just let you live your life the way you want to live it. And I see our truth is different in our Scorpio energy. I am motivated by more deep, meaningful relationships, and you're maybe not. So my dream can't come into reality with you. I didn't let go of my dreams. I just let go of the people in my life who are more motivated and inspired to make their life more about themselves or the ego or the image or the world as the driving factor in their life. That's not the driving factor in my life. It's love. I want to be in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and inspired to work together with people in a more just and fair and balanced way. And some people are in the shadowy energy, tipped out of balance, more in their defensive nature, egoic nature, superficial nature, more about themselves, the ego or something. And other people are more balanced. So they can work together with people in a more balanced way. And the people who are tipped out of balance justify why they make themselves or these things of the world or whatever more important in their life. And of course, they think it's just and fair, and they can't maybe understand why other people don't make it about those things like they do. It's like we view life differently. So, what's coming up? For the people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy, that have gotten out of their ego about some things, have healed, have probably moving forward in some new beginning, and emotionally detaching from they did emotionally detach. Some people are at the second phase where they're really emotionally free of it. Other people are still in the process of doing that. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy that they might not see coming? It has to do with this card, and the reason is the Scorpio death card. Well, because the high vibe people didn't want to repeat an old pattern. They could have, as they were moving forward in something, they realized, being illuminated to the truth, that something is this is like an old pattern. I have been here and done that, and I don't want to do that. I didn't realize maybe that's what I was getting into, but apparently I did. And the truth is, we're the only ones who can free ourselves. Sometimes we haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves, and we think other people are the key to freeing us from things that manipulate us. But we're really the ones who ultimately hold the key to free ourselves. other people can try to intimidate us, control us, hurt us, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I can either let those things keep manipulating me, or I see that people are acting in shadowy energy, prideful energy, hurtful energy, immature energy, whatever it is. And I accept the truth of it. It doesn't have anything to do with my worth and value. If I know I offered truth and love, then I'm going to free myself. I'm not going to keep staying more involved in relationships with people who have no interest in changing. But I can change. And because they were motivated to do that, it's transforming their whole life. And it also set them free. They were meant to learn a lesson, see the truth of something. They saw the truth of something. They saw what wasn't like just and fair and loving and authentic, and they put an end to it. So now they get to move forward in life. They get to go to like the next phase of life. They accomplish that level of the game of life. And while they're moving forward, the other people are going to have to keep repeating this pattern until they learn the lesson they were meant to learn from that phase of life. And part of it is detaching from harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way, because there's always going to be more shadowy people in the world. And until we see what needs to change within us, we could keep being manipulated by it. We have to see the truth of what it was that manipulated within ourselves that made us kind of get suckered into that or indulge those people. And that's what you work through. And what some people don't know about you is that you no longer harness this energy in a more shadowy way. You harness it in a more high vibrational way. What is it? The Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands, which is fire sign energy, the pages could be that, for one, you could have just been naive and gullible, thinking everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And you had to be illuminated to the truth that not everybody is. Some people are aligned with being more about themselves, and they want it more about them or these things of the world. And also that some people haven't grown up and matured themselves, and they maybe have no intention. And some people want kind of a more imbalanced relationship where you are like the mother or the father, and they get to be like the immature person in the relationship, and they want you to love them like a mother or a father would a child and indulge them in their poor behavior. And it's like, I'm not going to do that. You're an adult. Grow up. But you also could have had that more, you had to learn these lessons in life that not, you can still be a hopeful, believing person, but you're not as naive and gullible as you are. You have been illuminated to the truth by some shadowy people in the world. But you didn't give up your dreams. You just harnessed your Page of Wands differently than you did before. And you also could have been more codependent, is what the pages can represent. And you've gotten out of being in more codependent energy. You learn to give yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. And you also probably did this work to heal from situations in your past. I'm not going to let whatever life experiences I went through keep me fearful of loving and believing in myself and believing in my dreams. I've just learned from all these different people I've encountered in the world. And I've also learned to listen to my intuition and love myself and give myself the things that I wish other people would give me. So I'm balanced within myself, and to keep being inspired to maintain balance within myself by offsetting my own fears, insecurities, and things like that. And I'm looking for other people who still have that hopeful, believing spirit, but are balanced within themselves to get out of more codependent relationships. And there's shadowy people in the world that are looking for people who don't know the truth about people like them. And they want to try to trap you in a job, friendship, or relationship. It's good for them. It works for them. It's good for their ego and image. And plus, if you're a hopeful, believing, loving person, it's great to be in a relationship with you. But they don't ever plan to align with being that type of person. And that's when you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't have that creative spark of life and love to them. And they don't ever want to give birth to anything new because they operate from their defensive egoic nature. And there's some people in the world that still think that by taking whatever action they're taking, that it will that they're stopping you from moving forward, but they don't realize that people are in the process of giving birth to a whole new them, and that you no longer view them as someone that you want to have a new beginning with. You've seen the truth of them. They just don't realize that you've seen the truth of them, but they will. When they see you, as you keep moving forward, it's kind of like, shit, that person isn't talking to me. Shit, that person isn't coming back. Shit, my trying to manipulate them or bully them or intimidate them or hurt them didn't work. Damn. So, what's coming up for the people who harness a little more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming up? Besides the fact that this whole situation might be repeating with the next friend, job, or relationship they got themselves into. The Ace of Swords, the Star card, the Queen of Cups, the Five of Wands, and the reason is because of the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups is Scorpio energy, and the more worldly, shadowy people, the truth is they have this, well, they kind of have to keep repeating this certain pattern because they can't move to the next phase of life until they see the truth of some way of interacting with people that I view the Queen of Cups as Scorpio also. They have this idea of life, this way they want to emotionally live life, which is turning their back on the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands is like closing out a cycle and wrapping your brain around this game of life. Being inspired to wrap your brain around this game of life. And they're like, nope, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to be in a relationship with anybody who does. You can go. I'm going to keep doing this. I have this dream. That's my truth, which could be I want it to be more about me and have someone get in a relationship with me, male or female, who makes it more about me. Because Aries energy is about the self. Shadowy Aquarius is supposed to be more about me. And I'll indulge someone in order to look like a shining star in the world and maybe be in a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship or make my life more about the ego or the image or whatever. I'm not inspired to do life differently. And because that's their truth, they're always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life who love them, who want to move forward in life. Like, let's close out this old chapter. Let's all be inspired to have this new beginning. Let's detach from some of these old ways of being or defensiveness or being more about ourselves or being more stubborn or whatever. But the other people just keep doing this. And eventually it becomes so overwhelming for the people who are in relationship with them that eventually it's like they're going to pick up all their sticks and move on. Go find someone else to play with in the world because, our shadow nature, kind of at the big picture represented by the devil, are these things that can consume people. And they don't consume other people the way it consumes them. And so other people are going to move on. And again, they could be mad. Why don't you make your life about me or about these things that I make really important in my life? I don't want to change. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to be more authentic. I don't want to detach from anything. I want to keep doing this. Well, then they can do it. They just need to find someone else to do it with. And some other people have been illuminated to the truth that, some people are just more about themselves, or it has to be more about them, or more driven and motivated to maybe try to get people who are defensive to them to get them to love them. That can be people being in their ego. No, I need to get these people to love me. Why these people? Well, because I view those people as having a certain status or image in the world. Why not work with the people who are willing to work together with you, who are authentic and loving? No, I need those people to like me. I need those people to value me. Well, high vibe energy is about knowing your worth and value. You don't need other people to validate your worth and value because you validate your worth and value. But for some people, they could really view certain people as having a certain status or image. Well, you can see where that's more about them and their ego. And again, because even though they could have people in their life that are like, I have already told you I do not want to be in a relationship with you. And they're like, no, 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 you've got to like me, or I'll go find someone else who's like you to try to get them to like me. Why try to get other people? It's like, don't you view me as a loving person? Don't you? For some people, it doesn't have anything to do if they view people as a loving person or not. I just might be more about myself. I might be more about ego and image. And there's other people. You see, some people who, well, it's more out of the ego and image, but it can be trying to get other people who are kind of more about ego and image to try to get those people to change. And I don't know, like if it's not an overwhelming challenge, well, then what's the fun? I don't know. But I think because they're going to repeat some old patterns and do repeat this certain pattern, they're going to have some high vibe people leave their life. And some of the people that are going to and could be in their life, friends or family members, or other people, are other people who are happy they're defensive to being more authentic, defensive to living their more authentic life because they don't either. And those people are willing to repeat this pattern with them because they also could find it really overwhelming to kind of deal with the truth of some ways that they could have of viewing life or viewing relationships. And so they live their life that way too. And that would be a just and fair relationship. If we're so consumed with it has to be more about me, well, if they can find someone who's willing to make it more about them because of maybe the status or the image or they're overwhelmed, well, that's that person's free will choice. I'm willing to indulge you. Okay. Really? Is that what you want? Is to be in relationships with people who are willing to indulge you in your immature nature, egoic nature? We all know some people like that, right? And yeah, that's what they want. And other people are like, I'm not going to keep indulging you in your immature ways of being. I'll let someone else do that. Can I be sad? Yeah. But, the Ten of Wands can be where they expect someone else to put in all the work and effort to make it seem like a dream come true, to be the loving and encouraging and just and fair and patient people. And they get to just be all about themselves. I'm going to let someone else do that if someone else wants to, and I'm leaving. And if they can find someone, that's that person's free will. We all have the free will to live life the way we want to live it. And like I say, there's some people in the world that will be happy that these people live their life like that because that's just the kind of person they like to be in a relationship with for some reason. Or it gets them those things, because shadowy energy can be more about the world. It gets them those things of the world that they want. Hey, I'll indulge you for those things. And some of the shadowy people, that is kind of a shadowy relationship that believing that whoever seems to have more clout, more status, more power, more something that people in the world want, that they think, well, whoever is the one who wants that more or doesn't have as much of it, they should indulge that other person. That's some people's philosophy of life. And other people are like, that's not my philosophy of life. Regardless of what I bring to the table, I think what I bring to the table, especially if I'm authentic and loving and just and fair and balanced and treat other people the way I like to be treated and act with character and integrity, I think that is a blessing. And if some people don't appreciate it, because they can be defensive to people who have reconciled themselves with the past, who do believe in their dreams, who do love themselves, who have worked through these issues and have freed themselves. And they're mad because they don't ever plan to deal with the truth of what manipulates them. And the people who are probably willing to stay in a relationship with them are people who are the same way. And I think kind of moving forward in some of those kind of relationships can feel really overwhelming because it's like their intuition and their more hopeful, believing, loving nature is trying to tell them, you let all these things burden you and overwhelm you and manipulate you. When are you going to drop the burden and look at life from a higher perspective and put things in perspective and quit letting the past or other people or your stubborn nature, your defensive nature, or your egoic nature manipulate you? But some people will do it forever because love and being more authentically themselves is just way too scary. So they'd rather keep moving on, doing things the way they do. I just think it's always going to feel overwhelming because they're it's like instead of going with the flow of life, periodically, if you were to look at going with the flow of life as like tubing down a river, it's one thing to stop and camp out for a while, set up house, but no matter how strong the currents get, trying to get them to let go and move forward, they're like constantly trying to stay stuck and stagnant, which is against the flow. Part of going with the flow of life is working through these issues, dealing with the truth so you can let those things go. But they keep maybe sweeping things under the rug or just getting in new relationships or indulging in things to make them feel better. But none of those things are the answer. And it just keeps piling up more and more and more and more. And other people in their life can see it. And it's like, I don't know why you do this. I don't know why you indulge in that. I don't know why you indulge them. I don't know why you put up with these things. I don't know why you're so defensive to the truth. And some people were kind of prideful and egotistical and bossy and controlling, but that's not maybe how they view themselves, or they know other people who are like that in the world, like people they might have known in their life, and they didn't love and believe in themselves and free themselves from it, and those things keep manipulating them, and then they're really mad that what worked on them didn't work on you. And then it's really hard to deal with the fact that they see other people will not be intimidated and controlled by more shadowy people. They opted to act like a shadowy person and defend maybe shadowy people in their life. And you freed themselves, and that can make them mad because it kind of makes them see how they don't do that. But they don't want to see the truth of it, and they don't want to see the truth about themselves, and don't want to see the truth about what manipulates them or people in their life that manipulate them. And so then they're mad at other people, like mad that you healed and grow and matured yourself. You should have stayed here and done it like this. It's like, those things manipulate you, they don't manipulate me. So I'll let you find someone else who lets those things or those people manipulate them the way it manipulates you. I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to stay in a situation that I feel is more, people want to overwhelm me and intimidate me and control me, and it's all more superficial and shallow, and none of you want to see the truth of it. Enjoy your life. I'm leaving. And they'll probably keep living life the way they do it, being mad that other people saw through the illusion, other people freed themselves from things they can't manage to free themselves from, and that you're having this new beginning and have transformed your whole life. And then they can be mad at you that they're stuck in what they're stuck in. You had free will to defend standing up for yourself against people in your life who wanted you to keep aligned with them and moving forward with them in whatever way. But you chose to, instead of standing up for yourself and believing in yourself and believing in your dreams, you kept moving forward with those people. Well, you keep moving forward with them. I'm moving on. And some people are having these new beginnings that is transforming their whole life. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.